You see, I'm here all along. I bet you couldn't see me behind these goat's aloe twigs. But it's customary here in YouTube land for us YouTubers to produce some kind of compilation or highlights video at the end of the year. And I'll be doing several over the course of the next week or so. This one features these goat's aloe twigs, or rather what's on them, or rather still what was on them for the first part of 2025. Because in the first part of 2025 I've told the story of the Magnificent Seven, which through various reasons became the Magnificent Five, but did ultimately lead to me being able to release 5 magnificent purple emperor butterflies back from where they'd been collected. Needs must in this part of the world for the purple emperor. It needs every help it can get. Consequently, there's 12 more on here as I sit gawping at it, pretending that I can see the branches and the twigs, and especially the larvae. I can't see anything without my glasses, and I don't know where they are. But this little video anyway is a highlights video, as I mentioned, a snippet of all the videos featuring the Magnificent Seven and Magnificent Five purple emperors of 2025. It also shows what a wonderful spring and early summer we had. We were blessed with beautiful weather in the first part of 2025. Late December here at Market Wartop has a lot to live up to. As you can see, the garden isn't at its particularly flowering best at the moment. Complete opposite, and that's largely because I'm doing quite a bit of construction work in the garden. Well, I'm not doing most of it. There's a new fence going in, and that's going in tomorrow, so I've got to do the preparation work and get everything ready in time for that. Part of the reason why there's not been so many recent uploads in the last couple of days, it's because I've got my hands full with this, plus I'm doing work on the website. But there is something that I can show you against the back door. Well, you may remember that a few weeks ago, back in November, which is almost 2 months away now, I found a number of purple emperor larvae, L3 larvae, and along with Nick and Samantha Brownlee, we managed to locate in the end about 10 or 11 larvae. It's a lot more than what we thought we'd got, and no doubt more will turn up as we go into the spring and the larvae start to become active. But in the video from the time, it showed that we removed some larvae, 3 larvae, from one oak which had been sort of partially cut down against the major oak, and we brought them home, went and collected them and brought them home because they will be safer here with me over winter, and when they get through the winter they can be released back into the wild, either as L3 larvae, or I can keep them, rear them on, and then hopefully release the adults at a later date. Those 3, well 4 came back that day. We did find another one on a branch which had been cut down in readiness for some tree removal up at Seymour Grove. So 4 came back. But then I found some more larvae in Clipsonall Quarter. I found a total of 4, and within a few days one of those promptly disappeared along with the marker that I'd got in place. I looked and looked for it and couldn't find it at all. It hadn't relocated, and so what had become of it I don't know. I then made the decision to remove the other 3 larvae from the nearby sallow, and I brought them home as well. And they're now all residing in this. On this series of goat sallow cuttings are a total of 7 purple emperor larvae, all happily overwintering all at the sides of various buds on here. The reason I brought them back is that over the years there's been a really high mortality rate in the purple emperor larva that Nick and Samantha Brown himself have monitored, and it's probably as high as in the high 90s. Very few get to become adult butterflies. By taking these, bringing them home and keeping them at least until we get through the winter and the first warm days of spring, when they could be relocated, or I keep them and rear them through to adult, and then we release the adult butterflies, at least these are safe. They're safe from predators, hopefully from disease, and from, well, management. You never know. In Sherwood Forest, you can go up there one day and something's been cut down. You have no idea when or where something is going to be taken down, and there is no concern given to the caterpillars of the purple emperor butterfly at all. And so these are safer here with me, and they've got some protection. I do keep them just outside on the yard here, and they are fully exposed apart from a slight sort of bit of protection from a glass top table, which they're half underneath, but they're exposed to all the frost and the ice and the snow. I keep them in a simple tube cage like that, that's zipped up, netted, quite open, and they will be absolutely fine. It's a method that's proved successful before. Purple emperor caterpillars are very easy to get through the winter. You just do this, you bring them home, leave them outside on food plant, and that's it. You don't touch them, you don't bring them inside during bad weather. You leave them outside. They need to be kept outside. You can't mollycoddle these and get away with it. They won't be having any of it, and they'll pop the clogs. So see if we can find 1 or 2 on here to show you. Well, here's one L3 purple emperor larva. The day that I brought them back, there was a little bit of movement because it was so mild, but since then they haven't moved at all. And this is the kind of position they will remain in until the first warm days of spring. That's usually sort of late March or early April, and the first day they become active, the buds usually aren't out, and so they tend to relocate to a more likely bud, or one that takes the fancy. Otherwise, they don't move. Now you may well be able to see the 2 caterpillars that are here. There's one at the side of where an old twig has snapped off at that joint there, and then there's this one just here. The one on the right of the screen is quite interesting because I did show this as a very well marked individual. Very, very well marked, and nothing like this now. They have all gone this typical sort of olive green colour which purple emperor larvae attain during the winter months. So all are doing well. All 7 are doing very, very well. We have another 2 larvae here. You can see the larva at the top of the screen. You may be able to see that sort of silvery nature to the stem on which the larva is fixed. Well, that is the silken pad that these caterpillars lay down before going into hibernation. The second larva, the one at the bottom, is like the one above, right at the side of its favoured bud through which to overwinter at the side of. That's slightly differently marked than the other one. but both quite happily together at the side of their chosen bud. It's quite a big event when you've been keeping these outside for a few months over the winter. There's been no movement, and then you get that first warm day of the spring and you see them out and about and having a wander around the chosen twigs. So I'm pleased to report that these are all doing very well. Well, that's them safely tucked away for another couple of months. We're having a cold spell here at the moment. We've just had another flurry of snow. Pretty much just about covered the ground, but it's gone now and we're into the realms of frosty nights and colder days. These purple emperor caterpillars are absolutely fine in such conditions, and to be quite honest, it's probably better that we do get a more traditional sort of winter period than lots and lots of mild weather and rain. That's the last thing we want. But we'll see how these 7 go on, and then once it starts to warm up, we'll see what we decide to do with them. The trouble is, I'm in favour of keeping them and rearing them to adulthood and then releasing them back at the site of being taken from. It would be quite easy to re-release these back once the leaves on the goat sallow are starting to come out and these larvae start to become active. But then we're asking for the same problems and troubles that we've had in the last 3-4 years with regards to purple emperor larvae. That's the fact that they go missing. We've had a lot that get into the fits and final install, become really big chunky caterpillars, gone, and gone almost within a day. And so I've pretty much made up my mind to keep these and rear them through to adults, but I will see how things go and how I feel nearer the time. I would hate to release these, continue monitoring them at the point of various releases, and these are from several points within the Sherwood Forest area, but then after monitoring them for several weeks and watching them go through the instars, only to find that they all disappear. I'd love to know what it is, whether it's predation, disease, or somebody's taking them. I still haven't ruled that one out, but we'll see. But in the meantime, these are doing absolutely fine and are certainly safer here than if I'd left them up in the forest. So the gang of 7, the 7 13-star purple emperor larvae, which were overwintering on a range of sallows in the Sherwood Forest NNR. You may well wonder, if you haven't seen the previous video to this one, as to why they are now sat in this cage awaiting the first warm days of spring. Well, the reason for that is that their safety over the winter throughout anywhere in the Sherwood Forest NNR cannot be guaranteed. 10 were initially found during the autumn by Nick and Samantha Brownlee and myself, and after the disappearance of one of those 10, within about 2 days of it being found, I made the decision to bring all the remaining other ones that I could reach into captivity. Some were rescued from a sallow near the major oak which had partially been cut down, and so the larvae would have been doomed. Any larvae on sallows in the Sherwood Forest NNR are all in danger, really, as far as I'm concerned. There is no guarantee that come the spring that sallow that any purple emperor larva is on will still be there. It is that bad. People might laugh and say, no, you're being ridiculous, but we lost yet another mature sallow only a couple of weeks ago at the entrance to Budby. It's now a lovely sort of stump. And so I made the decision to collect these 7 larvae. It's a decision that I wished I'd done sooner, to be honest, because we've lost another one. The other week I went up to Seymour Grove to check on one that was within reach there, only to find that that one has also gone. Thankfully these 7 are here. Had they been out in the wild, still on their original trees, would we still have the 7? I very much doubt it, to be honest. And so these are safe and secure, and there's been a little bit of a development in the last week. Now our 7 larvae are on these 5 stems of goat sallow. These are the stems which I cut off in the process of bringing them into captivity, and they've remained on these stems ever since. They were brought in December, I think it was, towards the end of last year anyway, and they've been safe and secure throughout the new year, and as we're approaching the last couple of days of February now, they continue to seem absolutely fine. In terms of movement, there has been a little by 2 individuals, which I'll show you in a minute. One has been wandering around a little bit, and after a bit of a wander stayed tucked in at the bottom of one of these stems, and another one near the top of one of these stems somewhere, I'm not sure, it's this one here, has also been on a little adventure. In fact, it did something unusual. It stayed where it was but turned around, and has since turned around again in the last couple of days since I checked on these. It may well have moved from its original pad of silk and just relocated to the tip of one of these shoots, but I'm pleased to say that all 7 L3 larvae are on these twigs and still doing really well. Well, here's the first of our 7. Perfectly healthy. This is the correct coloration, that sort of almost an olive green. Before they do become properly active in the spring, their coloration, that greenness especially, will become more vibrant. Coloration overall throughout the winter can vary between individual caterpillars, but the majority are this colour, although they can be slightly yellowish too. But there's been no movement from this one. You can see the silk pad upon which this one is resting, especially at the lower end of the caterpillar here. So number 1 is doing very well. And here's the second. Our second larva, similar colour, perfectly natural colour and perfectly natural resting position, which is adopted by virtually all purple emperor larvae. Say, you'll have seen on this channel how some will overwinter on the old leaf scars on thicker branches, but generally overwintering is carried out and is usually tucked up against a bud. Now initially, on the first really warm day of say March, caterpillars will become active and will often move around and relocate to another bud, but they won't resume feeding until the leaves are out, presumably while resting alongside a bud. Not only does it offer really good camouflage, the caterpillar looks like a bud, but the caterpillar also can detect when the sallow is beginning to grow and the leaves become large enough for the caterpillar to start and eat. So that is number 2, perfectly healthy, no concerns there. Now here's our third larva. I'm showing you sideways on. This is one of the larvae which has moved. In fact, When I looked last week, it was about 2 inches lower down on this particular stem, quite near the soil in the pot. But it's now resumed a more typical sort of resting posture, tucked up against that joint. Sometimes you will find purple emperor larvae over winter in joints of twigs, certainly in places like this, but also where one twig comes off another. Again, perfectly normal coloration and nothing to worry about there. But interestingly, that is one larva which did become active last week when we had temperatures around 15 degrees centigrade. So we've seen 3 larvae so far. Here's 4 and 5. And you'll notice, or you may notice, that this top one here is a paler colour. It's green, looks perfectly healthy, but it's quite paler, and certainly paler than this other one here at the side of this bud just below. Both, say, perfectly normal coloration for purple emperor larvae at this time of the year. And say from now on, as we start to get more regular milder conditions and temperatures, that coloration will become a more vibrant green, and certainly when they start to feed properly for the first time in several months, they will then really green up. But these 2 larvae both doing okay. Now, next larva is this one. Now this is the larva which relocated from elsewhere on the stem up to this position it is now. Look, second bud from the top. Not that these 2 buds are any good, these are both dead buds. That's the better colour and normal colour for a bud. But last week this larva was facing downwards, which in my limited experience is something that L3 larvae never do. I've never seen it, but it was totally facing the wrong way. They normally always face upwards, but within the last few days it's been all change again, and it's decided on a different vantage point or a different viewpoint. And so here it is, back to the more typical facing upwards and typical coloration. Nothing wrong with this one, very healthy indeed. And this is the last of our 7. Again, perfectly healthy. This one hasn't moved at all. This may have been the one when I looked at them last week when we had the first of the mild weather. One did move its head to the side several times, which is something that they will sometimes do, especially in mild conditions. It's only in probably the really coldest of temperatures where they remain absolutely still and obviously are at the most dormant. In mild conditions, say, you can get movement up the stem to relocate to another bud, or you can get some movement from side to side, and that's usually where the larva is continuing to lay down silk on which it rests. This one, perfect coloration again. It's a classic example of an L3 purple emperor larva at this time of year. And I'm pleased that they've all come through so far with no diseases either. That's always something to worry about. And I should say that the only protection they get is from a glass top table from which they sit partially under. They are completely exposed to all the elements. Well, that's them tucked up safely and securely. In a minute I'll put them back under this table. It'll be several more weeks yet before the goat sallows begin to open and these larvae become active enough to want to start feeding. But I have decided to keep these larvae and to rear them through and then release the adult butterflies, those that make it. Hopefully they all will, but you never know, disease could set in with 1 or 2. But I plan on releasing back in the area in which these caterpillars were taken as adult butterflies. I think it's safest. I wouldn't like to release these back, continue to monitor them, only for them to do their usual disappearing act once they've reached fifth instar or are about to pupate. I've seen that happen so many times. So hopefully we can get these through, and of course I'll be giving regular updates in the process. So another update forthcoming, probably once these have started feeding. I can't wait, and it won't be long either. We're at the end of February now, and by the end of March maybe these will be active enough to start feeding. It's a very warm and very pleasant Thursday, the 27th of March, and we have life. 2 of the magnificent 7 L3 purple emperor larvae are now active and have woken up in the warmth of today's sunshine. It really is very nice here, and as they've started to move, I've put them, or the 2 that's moving, onto fresh growing food plant. I'm staying with them today to make sure that they settle down at the side of one of these buds. One is at the top here somewhere, and the other one is just making a run for it up this stem here. It has been right down to the bottom and is now going back up again. The others are still on these twigs here. There's 2 on this one here, 1 on here, and 1 at the top here. Despite the warmth of the sun, they've not woke up yet, although they may well start to become a little bit active now that the sun's got on them. If you've got your maths right and you've counted, you might realise, well, it's only described 6, and that's because we lost one of the magnificent 7 last week. There had been a little bit of movement and relocation on the twigs in the small pot that I've just showed you, but one larva didn't make it and was black and dropped off its silken pad. Any larvae that have any amount of dark coloration during the winter, they never last very long, and this one didn't. And the one I think it is, I can show you a clip of when we last looked at these, and unfortunately it hasn't made it. So we've got 6 out of the 7. We're down to the magnificent 6 now, and I want to get them all active and settled on this food plant here. I do have a larger sallow which I will move them on to probably in the next instar, but we're through the worst of it. They are very easy things to overwinter. You don't do anything to them, you just keep them outside and that's it. You leave them completely exposed and they will be fine. I would have thought though that with the warmth of today's sun they would have all become active, but they haven't. But say for the last week or so there's been a bit of movement, and there's a number of used silken pads I notice on the sides of these buds. Great that we're at this stage now, and I can't wait to get the rest of the larvae off here and onto this young goat sallow here. But we have progress. It's just a shame that we lost the one, but that's only to be expected when you look at the number of eggs that a female butterfly of any species would lay. They always say that it's only 1 or 2 larvae resulting from that female that will ever make it through to adult. So despite losing one, the odds of success are still looking very, very good. We're now at the end of May, fast approaching June, and the last time we saw the magnificent 6, as we were down to, all was going well. They were all in 13 stars and had woken up and were doing really well. I had lost the one from overwinter, which died during the overwintering process, something that happens regularly. We've seen it in the wild with purple emperor larvae. They wake up in spring sometimes but just pop the clods. So we were down to 6, and then that magnificent 6 became a magnificent 5. I lost a further larva during the molting process, and that's a common thing with caterpillars quite often. They will run into difficulties for whatever reason during the process of molting, and of course they can also run into similar difficulties during the pupation process. So what of them now? Here's one I prepared earlier. Just there, this is the last of the 5 to have pupated, and it pupated yesterday. I've not put it in the emerging cage yet, just to make sure that it hardens off properly. Remarkably camouflaged, and the real fascinating thing that many people know about these pupa is that they fluoresce under ultraviolet light. It's an easy way of finding them on a night time. You can shine a UV torch up into the canopy of a goat sallow, and hey presto, they stand out like a little beacon of light. So this is one. Where are the other 4? They're in here. All the pupa, the 4, the 5th one will join them, are pinned to the top of this cage so that emergence shouldn't be a problem. And it probably won't be too long before the first actually emerges, because these 4 are about 3 weeks ahead of the one we've just been looking at. So on the whole, we've got 5 out of 7, and as a ratio of success, providing they all emerge, that's a good ratio. So then, I think that we've done well to get 5 pupa and potentially 5 adults. There's no reason that we shouldn't get 5 butterflies from 7 larvae many months ago. Probably been here certainly 6 months, maybe 7 months actually, since they were collected and taken as a precautionary measure out of the wild. Thankfully the one that we know of still up in the forest is still doing okay. I need to go back up and check. The last I looked, it had just molted into 5th instar. But at least we have 5 healthy pupa, and those healthy pupa will soon begin to emerge as butterflies. I'm very pleased with how it's gone. They really are a joy to look after, and that's all I've done. I've just looked after them, brought them into a place of safety, kept them outside at the side of where I'm sat now, and let them get on with it. In terms of rearing larvae, purple emperor are ridiculously easy. They don't want for much at all, and they're fun. It's fun to see them wake up after watching them through the winter, after watching them go through the worst that the UK winter can throw at them. I always like that day, the first day they become active and relocate to a promising looking bud, and then go into a torpor again, waiting for that bud to open up and burst into leaf. And then a few weeks later they become big and robust. but at the same time don't take up much room at all. They don't move a great deal. As long as they've got something to eat, they're quite happy. They don't like to wander all over the place. They'll go to and from their favourite feeding leaf, and that's it. So we await the arrival of the first emperor, the first of the magnificent five. And this one will be the last. Well, here's a nice way to start off the month of June. Early morning here, and came downstairs this morning, opened the back door, checked on the emerging cage, and lo and behold, two of the magnificent five have emerged and are at the moment drying their wings. I'm presuming, going on size, that both are males, but I don't know until they open up the wings. But we have two successfully hatched. Well, here's a better view of the right hand one of the two purple emperors which have emerged this morning. Whether the males or females makes no difference. The undersides are the same, and magnificent things they are. These are a large butterfly, females larger than the males. But the important thing is that after rescuing these at the back end of 2024, although we've gone down from 7 to 5, we have the first two emerged successfully as adults. That's the important thing. And that's why I brought them into care, because we've found before that it's just far too risky and dangerous to leave these as caterpillars in the Sherwood Forest area. We lose so many, 95 to 98% of the larvae we find end up never making it anywhere near this stage. These five are lucky, and I'm pleased with the percentage of 5 out of 7 that have got to the pupal stage. So we'll let these dry off, and then we'll take them up the forest for release today. Well, ready for release. Just got to walk at 100 yards or so just up into the forest, and we'll release these butterflies. How much we'll see of them post-release, I don't know, but I'm hoping we may at least get a glimpse of the undersides. Well, we're at the location for release of the first two of the magnificent five. I hope this isn't just a brief finale to this video. Maybe we can get a good look at them. That's what I'd like. Here goes. Well, here's the first. It may well open its wings. It is still early morning and it's quite cool too. I've chosen a site. This is where one of the larvae was from. It's still quite shady here as well, just starting to get a bit of sun, but with the clouds bubbling up. Anyway, here we go. And I can tell you, it's a male. And for anyone that's new to this story, these haven't been captive bred. They're not from purchased stock. They're from larvae taken from the forest here and just reared and protected over the winter and the spring in order to get a number of butterflies out. I think we've been successful. What fabulous butterflies. They really are well worth the effort, although they've been on growing food plant for most of the time. They've been kept outside, so I've done little other than offer them care and protection from parasitism and the elements and anything else that affects the numbers of this butterfly in the early stages. And so the second of the 2 purple emperors to be released. So rewarding, this. Will this one be a male like the other? I think so, based on size. It's that upper side that I'd love to see. Head on with the emperor. The emperor of the forest. 2 male purple emperors, now free to fly. This has been so rewarding for me. It really has. It's been successful too. What a thing. Just look at that. And it is a male. It might not look like it. But let me show you from another angle. Isn't that just remarkable? I thought when I brought these butterflies up here, I thought they may go straight away on being put out onto this sallow. But I've been with these now at least half an hour. I thought when I first came up here to release these 2 purple emperors, I thought to myself, this won't take long. When I released MP, the first purple emperor that I reared through to adult, that was up and off, and I never got the chance to get anything at all of this. I had a couple of shots and that was it. No video footage at all. But this has been so rewarding. I thought, same as I say, I thought as soon as I take these out of the cage, put them on here, they will be off. But I've stood here now for at least half an hour with both butterflies still present. It's created the most fantastic memory, and with 3 more pupa to go, it's a memory that will be repeated. What a privilege this whole experience has been. And people wonder why I rear caterpillars. You get so much out of it. I've had so much more out of this experience, an up close and personal experience with a purple emperor. than I ever have done with purple emperors before. It's always been a brief glimpse or a brief fly shot. A butterfly at the top of the trees, flying between the trees. This has been something else. And the butterfly is something else too. Well, I've returned to a breezy Clipston Old Quarter today with one purpose, and that purpose is to release this chap. This one isn't going to hang around. I'm trying to find somewhere sheltered where I can release this butterfly, but the breeze shouldn't pose a problem for this one. This one emerged at 7:05 this morning, and it is another male. There's not going to be any hanging around with this one because it's later in the day and it's a little bit more active than when I brought the other two. Maybe it will treat us, but my suspicion is that it will go. One last look. The flight won't be particularly strong. And there we are. That's what the last 7 months have been about. Taking in those 7 caterpillars that were taken in because it's unsafe for the caterpillars of these to be in the forest. I'm sorry, but it is. It was just a way of being more secure and ensuring the success of at least some. And if you saw the video from the other day, got 5 through to pupa, and this is the 3rd beauty to hatch. What a beauty it is too. And whether I can angle it so that you can see that coloration. And for those that worry about butterflies being in containers, it's only been in this container for 20 minutes. And off it's gone. Very pleasing. And still 2 more pupa to hatch. Well, at this rate, I'll be developing what they call empty nest syndrome. Time for 4 to go. Come in, number 4, your time is up. And the time for release is up for this particular purple emperor. This is number 4 of the 5. Once magnificent 7, but we lost 2 during the course of the winter and the spring, but been left with 5 healthy pupa. The interesting thing is that this is a female. You may say, oh, what's so interesting about being a female? But the 3 males which preceded this female all hatched very close, slightly before 7 AM in the morning. This lady had a lie-in until mid-afternoon when she hatched or emerged yesterday. Whether there's a consistent sort of emergence time for either sex in purple emperors, I don't know. Maybe there's a study for future years. But it's time to release this one. It's early morning here at Clipston Quarter, so very quiet. It is a bit breezy, but hopefully we may get a prolonged glimpse of this female. Otherwise, it'll be a very brief flight shot. Well, here goes. Well, we are being treated to an audience with the Empress here at Clipston Quarter this morning. Again, as with the males, beautifully marked. The undersides, if anything, better than the upper side. The females, though, lack those iridescent scales that the males have. So when she opens her wings, she's just a very dark, almost chocolate brown. Still beautiful. And a large butterfly too. And again, an absolutely fabulous thing, just like the males. A quite remarkable butterfly. Again, of course, it's very much a privilege to be so close to a butterfly. I've known this butterfly in various forms for 7 months now. But they need help here. This isn't just a captive bred release. If you're new to this channel or new to these videos, this female was one of 7 larvae taken during the autumn and early part of the winter of 24 to 25, and they were taken to protect them because we can't rely on the safety of sallows here in Sherwood Forest. Too many have been taken out, so the decision was made to take larvae into captivity and look after them there, keep them over winter, grow them on, get them through to adult, and then do this, release them back to where they originated from. They've benefited considerably, and all being well, so far it's 4 out of 5. 7 were taken, but they lost 2 larvae, one during the winter and one during a molt. It's just nice to put something back, not that I've taken anything away from Sherwood Forest. It's nice to see these butterflies flying around Sherwood. What a beautiful thing. Well, the end of a very rewarding experience. Nice to be able to put something back, something that shouldn't have really needed putting back. Things should be safe, notably these purple emperors. This is the last of the 5, the Magnificent 5, formerly the Magnificent 7. It's release day for this one. Well, I don't think this one will hang around as long as all of the others have done. She's very active and we'll be releasing her very quickly. But before I do, I need to make a point. The reason why these were taken into captivity as L3 larvae over the last autumn and winter period was because of management. Site management in the Clipston Quarter and Sherwood Forest Country Park and Budby South Forest areas that saw the removal all the part cutting down of branches and of complete sallows. Sallows which had purple emperor larvae on, and those purple emperor larvae wouldn't have made it anywhere near this stage. They wouldn't have made it through to the spring. That's why I've been doing what I've been doing. It's not some flight of fancy, you could say. It's not some whimsical need to prove that I can rear purple emperors. It's not. It's to protect these butterflies. Not everybody sees it like that, unfortunately. But rather than blame me for rearing these butterflies from caterpillars which were infinitely and ultimately doomed, maybe those people should think about criticising the powers that be and the site management that decide in their wisdom to cut down goat sallows, knowing full well that purple emperor larvae are or could be on those sallows. Sallows shouldn't be being cut down at all, because they're so useful not only just to these but to a whole host of nectar feeding invertebrates. That spring sallow blossom is vital to overwintering invertebrates. But this one won't have the problem of overwintering. She'll just have the problem of finding a mate. So the last of the lot. What an experience it's been. And say, it's an experience shouldn't had to have had, but I have no regrets about it. Don't need to. I managed to get 5 of these butterflies through to adult and they could fly. That's the important thing here. These. I really thought she'd be off. Straight to the treetops. I'll miss them. They've all flown the nest now.